Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves on a one-day visit to Saudi Arabia, both sides likely to sign 12 agreements. India and Saudi Arabia expected to sign an agreement on setting up Strategic Partnership Council. The Prime Minister to launch RuPay card in Saudi Arabia to deliver keynote address at the plenary session of the third edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi calls for closer global cooperation in the fight against terrorism in his meeting with the delegation of EU parliamentarians. The PM calls for urgent action against supporters and sponsors of terrorism, asserts that there should be zero tolerance for terrorism. Delegation of EU parliamentarians to visit Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister says the visit to J&K should give the MPs a better understanding of the cultural and religious diversity of the regions of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, and will give them a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region. The Prime Minister says jump in India's ease of doing business rankings is a result of 5 years of economic reforms. The World Bank Group President David Malpass exudes confidence that India will become a $5 trillion economy spurred by economic reforms. For the third year in a row, India ranks among the top 10 economies that have embraced reforms. Suspense continues on government formation in Maharashtra. BJP's Devendra Fadnavis and Shiv Sena's Diwakar Raut meet Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari separately. Meetings described as courtesy calls on the occasion of Diwali. EU leaders agree in principle to extend Brexit until the 31st of January 2020. EU Council President Donald Tusk says UK could leave before the deadline if a deal was approved by Parliament. Namaskar and welcome to the news. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a one-day visit to Saudi Arabia. He will deliver the keynote address at the third session of the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh. The visit is expected to further cement the strategic partnership between the two countries. Here's how.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. He will deliver the keynote address at the third session of the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh. The FII is also known as the Towers of the Desert. The third FII session is organized under the Vision 2030, which is a blueprint for economic transformation of Saudi Arabia through diversification of its oil-based economy. Several initiatives are being undertaken by Saudi Arabia to fulfill this vision. The aim is to work alongside global strategic partners and investment managers. Under its Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia has selected 8 countries for forging strategic partnership. These include India, China, the UK, the USA, France, Germany, South Korea and Japan. Prime Minister Modi, who is visiting the Saudi Kingdom on the invitation of King Salman, will also hold bilateral talks. An agreement on the Strategic Partnership Council is expected to be signed.
This would be the biggest deliverable of the current visit of our Honorable Prime Minister to Saudi Arabia. The idea of the Strategic Partnership Council emerged during the Crown Prince visit, to India, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in February to India. This council will be the highest bilateral mechanism which would be existing between the two countries. It would be headed on the Indian side by our Prime Minister and on the Saudi side by the Crown Prince, and it would have two parallel verticals. One vertical would be on the political and security cooperation. This would be headed by the foreign ministers of both countries. Then there is another vertical which will be on economy and investments, which would be headed from our side by our CIM, Commerce and Industry Minister.
King Salman will also host a banquet in the honor of Prime Minister Modi. Energy security has been the main area of India's engagement with Saudi Arabia. India is on its way to transforming the buyer-seller relationship in this sector into a much larger strategic partnership. Launch of integration of the e-Migrate and Saudi e-Tawthiq portals for the benefit of workers is also on the cards. An MOU is likely to be signed during the visit to launch a RuPay card in Saudi Arabia, which will be very useful for not only the large Indian community but also Hajj and Umrah pilgrims. Saudi Arabia is the third country in West Asia where RuPay will be launched.
There is an agreement on defense, for defense procurement, defense industries. There is an agreement on renewable energy. We are going to launch the Rupee Gateway, in Saudi Arabia, which would definitely help the huge Indian diaspora of 2.6 million, and also the Indian tourists and pilgrims, Hajj and Umrah pilgrims will come. On the workforce side, the integration of the e-Tawteeq with e-Migrate, which was again discussed in February this year, has been completed, so that will also be launched. There will be several G2B and B2B agreements which will be also be signed on the sidelines of the visit.
Though a short visit, it is very intense and strong on deliverables and hopes to further strengthen the growing strategic relationship between the two countries. With Kanchan Prasad in Riyadh, Bureau Report, DD News.
And before leaving for Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi issued a pre-departure statement, and he will be in Riyadh on the 29th of October at the invitation of King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. The Prime Minister will address the plenary session of the Third Future Investment Forum there. He will also hold bilateral discussions with the King and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia on several regional and global issues of mutual interest. In the statement, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "India and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed traditionally close and friendly relations. Saudi Arabia has been one of the largest and most reliable suppliers of India's energy needs." The Crown Prince, during his visit to New Delhi in February 2019, committed to invest over US $100 billion in sectors of priority in India. Defense, security, trade, culture, education and people-to-people contacts are the other important areas of bilateral cooperation with Saudi Arabia. During the visit, the agreement for establishment of the Strategic Partnership Council will further elevate the India-Saudi Arabia strategic partnership to a new level. I also look forward to my participation in the Future Investment Initiative Forum, where I will speak about the growing trade and investment opportunities for the global investors in India as the country marches forward to a $5 trillion economy by 2024. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday told a delegation of European Union MPs that close international cooperation is essential to fight terror and urgent action is needed against those supporting and sponsoring terrorism. The 28 members of the Parliament of EU had called on the Prime Minister a day before their visit to Jammu and Kashmir. Here's more on what transpired in the meeting between the Prime Minister and the delegation of EU parliamentarians.
Terrorism is one of the biggest threats to the entire humanity. Terrorism and radicalism particularly threaten diverse and democratic societies like India and Europe. Close international cooperation is essential to fight terrorism.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's crystal clear message to members of the European Parliament: close international cooperation to fight terrorism is the need of the hour.
Urgent action must be taken against all those who support or sponsor terrorists or support such activities and organizations or use terrorism as a state policy. There should be zero tolerance for terrorism.
A delegation of EU parliamentarians called on Prime Minister Modi on Monday. During the interaction, Prime Minister Modi appreciated the importance of India-EU ties. He said that India's relationship with the European Union is based on shared interests and common commitment to democratic values.
Our strategic partnership is even more important in today's testing times. EU is India's largest trade partner and source of foreign direct investment. Early conclusion of a fair and balanced BTIA is a priority for my government.
The Prime Minister expressed the hope that they have a fruitful visit to various parts of the country, including to Jammu and Kashmir. The Prime Minister said their visit to Jammu and Kashmir will give them an insight into the cultural and religious diversity of the region. It will also present a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region. The PM highlighted the huge jump in India's position in ease of doing business rankings from 142 in 2014 to 63 at present. He said that this is a massive achievement for a country as enormous in size, demography and diversity as India.
This is not merely a change in some numbers. It is a massive achievement. Both people and government came together to make the business environment better for the business person. Those rankings are not a forecast, but an assessment of what has already happened on the ground. The world's largest health assurance scheme, Ayushman Bharat, covers 500 million people. Ayushman Bharat can also be a case study for other nations.
The tenure of the European Union Council as well as the EU Commission runs almost parallel with the Modi government. That the delegation chose to pay a visit so early on after the swearing in of Modi 2.0 goes to show the importance the body places on ties with India. With Sudhakar Das in Delhi, Bureau Report, DD India.
And moving on to our next story, Aram, the Common Foundation course for the civil service probationers, is underway at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia, with around 450 civil service probationers participating in it. The World Bank President David Malpass addressed the trainees at the event, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be delivering the closing address at the event on the 31st of October.
The first ever of its kind Common Foundation course for civil service probationers is being held at Statue of Unity in Kevadia. The program named Aram symbolizes the beginning of this type of training. This year the theme is how to achieve the goal of making India a $5 trillion economy. The probationers were also addressed by the World Bank President David Malpass, marking the inaugural session.
The goal of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2025 is both worthy and achievable with strong economic reforms. Making India's economic hopes a reality will require patience, persistence, and lots of energy from you and your colleagues. To lead the country into the ranks of upper middle income nations, you will need to seek new engines of growth that are sustainable, with opportunity and prosperity shared across the diversity of Indian society.
The program is curated in such a way that its main focus lies in strengthening the foundation of a young and new India and inculcating importance of teamwork.
देश को जिसने एक किया, सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी, और हमने यहाँ पूरा एकता नगर खड़ा किया है। एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, अलगता में एकता भारत की विशेषता, ये पूरा लघु भारत हम निर्माण करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और उसमें पूरे देश भर के प्रोबेशनर यहाँ ट्रेनिंग के लिए आए हैं। गुजरात की धरती पर उनका स्वागत है।
सरदार पटेल को माना जाता है कि वो हमारी सिविल सर्विसेज के पेट्रन सेंट हैं। उन्हीं की वजह से सिविल सर्विसेज को रिटेन किया गया। हिस्टोरिकली अगर हम देखें तो जब देश का विभाजन हुआ उस समय देश की जो स्थिति थी उसके अंदर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सिविल सर्विस को रखने में, और उनका ये मानना था कि एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सिविल सर्विस ही देश को यूनाइटेड रख सकती है। तो इसलिए जैसे ही पहला मौका मिला तो जो स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी पे अगर ये हम आरंभ प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, ये एक ट्रिब्यूट है सरदार पटेल को।
Around 450 probationers are participating in the foundation course. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the probationers during the closing session on 31st October. This program in the lap of nature under the stalwart statesman Sardar Patel statue is even more symbolic, with the civil service probationers imbibing the principles that Sardar laid out for civil servants. Meghna Dev's report, DD News.
And the World Bank president said that Mahatma Gandhi's vision of peace, tolerance and humanity remain an inspiration to the world.
Gandhi's vision of peace, tolerance and modesty remain an inspiration to the world. It's a fitting vision to keep in mind as India aims even higher. It's one of the most diverse countries on earth and the biggest democracy by far.
Suspense continues on government formation in Maharashtra. The BJP's Devendra Fadnavis and the Shiv Sena's Divakar Raut met the Maharashtra governor Bhagat Singh Koshiari separately, and these meetings were described as courtesy calls on the occasion of Diwali. Devendra Fadnavis tweeted after meeting the governor that he apprised him of the current scenario as well.
Political developments have picked up pace after the Diwali festivities in Maharashtra. The State Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and senior Shiv Sena leader Diwakar Raute met State Governor Bhagat Singh Koshiari separately on Monday. A Raj Bhavan official said that the meetings were courtesy calls by the two leaders. Fadnavis drove to Raj Bhavan in South Mumbai at 11 am, and similarly, Diwakar Raute also met the governor.
1993 से जब इस मुंबई का महापौर रहा था तब से मैं राज्यपाल महोदय को दीपावली की शुभेच्छा देने के लिए मेरा उपक्रम है। तब से आज तक एक भी साल ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि मैं गया नहीं। तो इस साल भी मैंने उनका समय मांगा, उन्होंने मुझे 10:30 का समय दिया था क्योंकि आज वो बाहर जाने वाले थे। उस हिसाब से जल्दी समय दिया, तो मैं आज उनको दीपावली की शुभेच्छा मेरी ओर से, मेरे फैमिली की, मेरे कुटुंब की ओर से और मेरे परिवहन खाते के सब ओर से मैंने उनको शुभेच्छा दी, उनकी शुभेच्छा ले ली।
After the assembly elections were declared, Shiv Sena has been raising the pitch for equal sharing of power. Party President Uddhav Thackeray has time and again said that 50-50 formula should be now implemented. Meanwhile, Union Minister Ramdas Athawale has said that both the parties will provide a stable and strong government in Maharashtra.
मुझे लगता है कि सरकार तो महायुति की बनेगी, क्योंकि कांग्रेस और राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस की कुछ सीटों पर बड़ी है, लेकिन इंडिपेंडेंट लोग भी मतलब 13 से 14 चुनकर आए हैं। तो मतलब अपोजिशन को, महाअघाड़ी को जिस तरह रिस्पॉन्स मिलना चाहिए था उतना तो नहीं मिल पाया है, और हमारे महायुति को भी जो और भी थोड़ी जगह मिलनी चाहिए थी लेकिन उतनी तो नहीं मिली है। लेकिन क्लियर बहुमत बीजेपी, शिवसेना को और आरपीआई को में मिला है, तो इसीलिए सरकार बनेगी।
The BJP, meanwhile, has also exuded confidence that the alliance will hold itself together and the minor glitches will be ironed out in due course of time.
स्वाभाविक तौर से राजनीतिक पार्टियां जब साझेदारी में सरकार बननी होती है तो आपस में बातचीत होती है। बातचीत का स्वरूप अलग हो सकता है, तर्क अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन लोगों ने एक बड़ी बहुमत दी है और मुझे लगता है कि अच्छी मजबूत सरकार महाराष्ट्र में बनेगी।
Political maneuvering is also seen in Mumbai's power corridors as the parties are trying to woo the independents to add up to their tally. Geeta Jain, Rajendra Raut and Ravi Rana have pledged their support to the BJP, while Bachchu Kadu and Rajkumar Patel have decided to go with Shiv Sena. With inputs from Shishir Shelar, DD India.
At least 19 people were injured in a grenade explosion in Sopore area of North Kashmir's Baramulla district on Monday evening. Security sources said that 6 of the injured, including a grievously wounded woman, have been shifted to Srinagar's SMHS hospital for specialized treatment. Local sources said that the suspected terrorist lobbied a grenade towards a security patrol near the J&K Bank Hotel Plaza in the vicinity of a bus stand. The grenade missed its target and hit civilians in a congested area. On Saturday, 6 CRPF personnel were injured in a grenade attack at a security checkpoint in Karan Nagar area of Srinagar. As part of the 550th birth anniversary celebrations of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Ek Onkar is being painted on the tail of the Air India's Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It has been painted as a tribute to the first Guru of the Sikhs by Air India. And Ayushman Bharat scheme, it's run by the central government. It's providing beneficial help to crores of people of the country. And after the implementation of Ayushman Bharat Yojana, now even the deprived people are getting free treatment in hospitals. And let's look at this ground report from Raisen district in Madhya Pradesh.
The Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided much needed relief to crores of poor and deprived people of India. People of Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh who were unable to get treatment for serious diseases due to financial constraints are now able to get medical treatment free of cost under the scheme. Raghuveer Rakwal, a resident of Raisen, says that he suffered heart attack and the cost of treatment in a private hospital was very high. Under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, he got treatment free of cost.
मेरा इलाज काफ़ी महंगा था और उस दौरान मुझे पता चला कि आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा मेरा इलाज हो सकता है, तो मैंने आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया मेरा और मेरा इलाज हुआ, क्योंकि मेरा इलाज करीबन 1,55,000 रुपये 1.5 लाख के समथिंग था, उससे हुआ है और आज मैं संतुष्ट हूँ।
Meena, Raghuveer's wife, says that her husband has got a new lease of life from the Ayushman Bharat scheme. She's thanked the Prime Minister for this initiative.
मेरे मिस्टर के सीने में दर्द था, इनको मैं विदिशा उपचार के लिए ले गई थी, वहाँ पे इनको अचानक अटैक आ गया, वहाँ से इनको भोपाल रेफर किया गया, उधर से बोला गया आपका खर्च ज़्यादा आएगा, आप नहीं कर पाएंगी, आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा आप इलाज करवाना। हमने वहाँ पे तुरंत में आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया, फिर इनको भोपाल ले गए, उससे इनका 1.5 लाख के करीब इलाज हुआ। अब ये ठीक हैं। मैं भारत सरकार की इस योजना से बहुत संतुष्ट हूँ और मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ। हम जैसे गरीब परिवारों को इससे मदद मिलती है।
Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided better medical treatment, especially to the rural poor who could not afford treatment in private hospitals. This scheme has proved to be a boon for such people. Bureau Report, DD News.
And the European Union has agreed to extend Brexit until the 31st of January next year. The European Council President Donald Tusk made the announcement through a tweet on Monday, and he said that the bloc would allow for a so-called flextension, meaning that the UK could leave before the deadline if a deal was approved by Parliament. Donald Tusk's announcement came after a very short meeting of the EU diplomats in Brussels to sign off on the Brexit new delay. And world leaders have spoken in one voice against terrorism after US President Donald Trump announced the killing of ISIS chief Baghdadi. Here's how world leaders supported the action against Baghdadi.
Global reactions have been pouring in after the killing of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. US President Donald Trump had announced the killing of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in a raid by the US Special Forces in northwest Syria. Britain, France, Israel, Canada and Australia supported the action against Baghdadi and called for global fight against the menace of terror to continue. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson hailed the death of Islamic State founder Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi as an important moment, but said the fight against his group is not yet over. Turkish President Erdogan hailed the killing of Islamic State terrorist Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, calling it a turning point in the fight against terror. Erdogan said Turkey would continue to support anti-terror efforts as it has done in the past. The Australian government welcomed the death of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, saying he was responsible for ordering crimes against humanity. The Australian Foreign Minister Maris Payne called it a significant blow to Islamic State. Payne said he also inspired or directed the cowardly attacks by Islamic State followers against innocent civilians around the world. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted Sunday evening that al-Baghdadi's death marks a major step in the fight against Daesh. China, Russia and Israel have also reacted to the killing of Baghdadi. China said it's closely monitoring the developments. Russia and Israel have lauded Trump's efforts.
Terrorism is the enemy of the international community, and China has been a victim of terrorism too. China has always been opposed to all kinds of terrorist activities and actively takes part in the international fight against terrorism.
If this information about the elimination of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is confirmed, can call it a serious contribution of the President of the United States to the fight against international terrorism.
I want to congratulate President Trump on the impressive achievement, an operation that led to the death of the Daesh leader.
US President Donald Trump on Sunday announced that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of terror group Islamic State, died during an overnight raid led by the US military forces in Syria. DD India.
And let's conclude with the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves on a one-day visit to Saudi Arabia. Both sides likely to sign 12 agreements. India and Saudi Arabia expected to sign an agreement on setting up a Strategic Partnership Council. The Prime Minister to launch RuPay card in Saudi Arabia, to deliver keynote address at the plenary session of the third edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi calls for closer global cooperation in the fight against terrorism. In his meeting with the delegation of EU parliamentarians, the Prime Minister calls for urgent action against the supporters and sponsors of terrorism, asserts that there should be zero tolerance for terrorism. Delegation of EU parliamentarians to visit Jammu and Kashmir. The Prime Minister says that the visit to Jammu and Kashmir should give the MPs a better understanding of the cultural and religious diversity of the regions of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, and will give them a clear view of the development and governance priorities of the region. The Prime Minister says that the jump in India's ease of doing business rankings is a result of 5 years of economic reforms. The World Bank Group President David Malpass exudes confidence that India will become a $5 trillion economy spurred on by economic reforms for the third year in a row. India ranks among the top 10 economies that have embraced reforms. And suspense continues on government formation in Maharashtra. BJP's Devendra Fadnavis and Shiv Sena's Diwakar Raut meet Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari separately. Meetings described as courtesy calls on the occasion of Diwali. EU leaders agree to extend the Brexit until the 31st of January 2020 in principle. The EU Council President Donald Tusk says that UK could leave before the deadline if the deal was approved by Parliament. That's all we have in this bulletin. Thanks for being with us. Namaskar.